When I was young, I prided myself as a nonconformist. I didn't follow along with the crowd. I wasn't afraid to try weird clothing trends or hairstyles. I obviously didn't care if I was perceived as weird or different.
As a trans person who doesn't fit neatly into the gender binary, a masculine appearing, predominantly estrogen-based organism.
It's one thing to say that gender is performed, and that's a little different from saying gender is performative. When we say gender is performed, we usually mean that we've taken on a role. We're acting in some way.
As a trans person, I've been stared at, screamed at, whispered about, and I know what some of you are thinking. And you're mostly right.
And that our acting or our role playing is crucial to the gender that we are and the gender that we present to the world.
I realized something about myself that actually was somewhat unique. And that changed everything.
I'm a trans person. According to the gender I was assigned at birth, using the men's room will not be a legal option for me either.
To say that gender is performative is a little different, because for something to be performative means that it produces a series of effects. We act and walk and speak and talk in ways that consolidate an impression of being a man or being a woman.
I became the opposite of who I thought I once was.
People who fit neatly into one of two gender boxes, which I do not. I never have. And this starts very early. She's a self-identified tomboy. She was 4 years old. She had already been taught the brutal lesson that there was no bathroom door at preschool with a sign on it that welcomed people like her.
You know, I was walking down the street in Berkeley when I first arrived several years ago, and a young woman who was, I think, in high school leaned out of her window and she yelled, "Are you a lesbian?" And she was looking to harass me. Or maybe she was just freaked out, or she thought I looked like I probably was one and wanted to know. But instead I just turned around and I said, "Yes, I am." And that really shocked her. We act as if that being of a man or that being of a woman is actually an internal reality or something that's simply true about us, a fact about us. Actually, it's a phenomenon that's being produced all the time and reproduced all the time. So to say gender is performative is to say that nobody really is a gender from the start. I know it's controversial, but that's my claim.
How does my friend feel about lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning people? I don't know, because I was never honest with them about who I am. Instead of taking advantage of the opportunity, I did nothing. But the message I missed was the need to start exploring and embracing myself. What I didn't realize until all these years later is that the biggest obstacles I will ever have to overcome are my own fears and insecurities.
Think about how difficult it is for sissy boys, or how difficult it is for tomboys to function socially without being bullied or without being teased or without sometimes suffering threats of violence. Informal kinds of practices like bullying, which try to keep us in our gendered place. There's a real question for me about how such gender norms get established and policed, and what the best way is to disrupt them and to overcome the police function.
That giving a trans person a safe place to pee or get changed in supports a lifestyle choice that you feel offends your morality or your masculinity or your religious beliefs, then what about folks with bodies who, for whatever reason, don't fit into the mainstream idea of what a body should look like? How many of us still feel shy or afraid?
It's my view that gender is culturally formed, but it's also a domain of agency or freedom. It's most important to resist the violence that is imposed by ideal gender norms, especially against those who are gender different, who are non-conforming in their gender presentation.